Hey everyone, Nick here. I've got another update for you on the mid-motor Bandit project. So I've got some new parts to show you. I've got some racing and performance updates I want to go through and also talk about some of the challenges with tuning that I've been facing. And then finally I've got some race footage that I'm excited to share with you guys. So yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so first real quick I want to go through the parts that I changed on this. And all of the parts that I changed are the parts that I mentioned in the last video that I was going to change. But I'll just go over them real quick again, just for, to refresh you guys. On the front here, I made the area on this front bulkhead beefier around the front hinge pin, just to make it a little more reliable. In the back here, I made a new fan mount that puts the fan in a better position to provide cooling for the motor. This has been, in testing, this has worked pretty well. So I'm happy with it. I'll leave it the way it is. On the transmission case here, I added these recessed lock nuts to hold the shock tower in place, and this has proven to be a much more reliable way of doing it than just running the screw straight through the plastic. On the rear camber link plate here, I implemented that Lego brick style locking mechanism into the plate and the washers here, the shims here, or the blocks, and the transmission case. So now this is a much more reliable connection. The camber doesn't get screwed off, it doesn't get screwed up between runs anymore, so that's nice. And then finally I redesigned these rear arm mounts so that they take out the 3 degrees of toe-in that is molded into the arms. And you can see here these wheels are now pointed front and back. And all of these files now are going to be up on the printables site, so if you want them, you can get them. I will say, as a word of warning, for the very few people who already have a car built, which I doubt is probably no one, but if you do, and you have the existing chassis, and you want to run the 5-gear transmission, you're going to have to add some extra holes. And to accommodate that, and this is the way I did it myself, I designed and printed a guide that bolts into the existing holes in the chassis and then serves as a guide to drill the new holes. And it worked really well for me, so if you have an existing chassis and you want to add those holes to run the 5-gear transmission, you can use that drill guide and it'll be perfectly fine. So that's it for the new parts. Alright, so this next part of the video is actually the most fun part, right? Racing and tuning the car. And I want to start off with tuning, and I actually want to start off talking about a completely different car. So at the last race night during practice, at one point I was standing next to Gavin, and he's the fast guy at the track. He wins every week, and he wins by a significant margin. So I took advantage of the opportunity while I was standing next to him, and I was asking him a couple questions about his car. And he just says, here, try it. So I got a chance to drive his car. And what I felt with his car was a car that was extremely stable, smooth, predictable, but at the same time, it had a ton of corner speed and a ton of steering. And one thing I really noticed is coming out of turns with his car, when I got real hard on the throttle, it would actually rotate a bit. And, that goes back to what I've been saying in the last couple of videos, right? The key to tuning on carpet is to get traction out of the rear end of the car. And so driving his car really set the benchmark for me of what I need to get this car to do. So it was a real educational opportunity for me. And I'm happy to say that throughout the race night, I actually managed to get this car driving maybe 80% of the way towards the way Gavin's car felt to drive. And I did that mostly through the camber links. I made the camber links longer. And when you make your camber links longer, what that does is it allows the car to roll more. And contrary to what you hear a lot of people say at the track, when you let the car roll more, it actually delays weight transfer to the outside tire. And by delaying that weight transfer to the outside tire, the outer tire doesn't generate near as much grip through the turn, and that helps the car stay free, and it helps prevent it from flipping over. So when I made those changes, it made my car feel, like I said, about 80% of the way towards the way Gavin's car felt. I still have some work to do, and I think some of that might be tires, but I also think it's going to be the springs as well. So for the past couple of years racing on carpet, I've had it in my head, right, that I need really stiff springs because it's really high grip. And so I've been running like a 90-gram spring in the front and like a 65-gram spring in the rear. Now, when you look at the setup sheets from the pros, they're not running anything near as stiff. On the front, they're running maybe a 75 or 80-gram spring, and on the rear, they're in like the 40-gram range. And more recently, I've noticed the Team Associated guys on the B7, they're running even softer front springs. I've noticed on their setup sheets, now they're running somewhere between like a 60 and 65-gram spring, but they're still on like a 40-gram spring in the rear. And so that's what I did. I selected some springs that I had that are more in that range. So on the front here, this is a 64-gram spring, and on the back, this is a 45-gram spring. And like I mentioned with the camber links, I think that's going to let the car roll more through a turn, which again will keep the outer tire from biting into the track as much and making the car want to roll over as easily, and let the car maybe slide around and rotate a little easier in the turns. So yeah, that's it for setup. Now on to racing. Racing went really great at the track last time. I drove the best I've driven in a while, and the car drove the best it's ever driven. And like I said, that's because of those changes I made to the camber links that made the car really like smooth and easier to drive. In qualifying in the stock class, I qualified 4th overall, and I qualified over some guys who in the past have always qualified better than me, and that even includes when I was racing my TLR 22. Those guys are faster than me, and now with the Bandit, I actually managed to qualify, ahead of them going into the main. And in the stock, or in the Mod Buggy main, I qualified 2nd overall, which isn't as big of a deal because the Mod Buggy main, or the Mod Buggy class, is nowhere near as competitive as the stock buggy class. But going into the mains, right, I'll start off with the Mod main because that was the first main to run. Before that main, I accidentally screwed up my front camber settings, and so the car had like almost no steering, and you'll see that because that's the main that I took footage when I was racing last time. And the car will look like it maybe doesn't have as much corner speed and steering as it should, and that's because I screwed up the front camber settings. But like I said, that was before the stock main, so I fixed it for the stock main, and in the stock main, the car drove really great. And like I said, I qualified 4th overall, and I finished 4th overall, and I managed to hold back some really talented and fast drivers who, were really trying to get around me, and I was just driving perfect, and they couldn't get around me, and eventually they crashed, and I didn't, and so I managed to hold on to that 4th position throughout the whole race, and I was really happy with how the car drove and how I drove. So yeah, that's it for racing and tuning. Enjoy the next part of the video, which, like I said, is going to be footage from me driving in the Mod Buggy class.
Good, starting on the towing, less than 5. Tuning starts from everybody who looks back to start the next line. Bring it out front. Bring it back straight, bringing your leader in the orange and yellow. Bring your leader to the start-finish line. Follow who's going to take 2nd. It's going to be Jeff Hardy, followed by Nick, Scott, Dan, Justin, and Max. Bring it straight here, back to the start-finish line. He's starting to build a pretty good lead already. So he's getting into this race. He's up 5 on Jeff. Jeff is 2nd. He's, I believe, the pink and black car with the pink wheels.
Shit.
Get back to the start finish line. 2nd. Way better Scott and Dan as your order. Great, starting to stretch that lead out 7 over Scott. Reference Brady is on the back straightaway. Scott just crossed the Dan just crossed the start finish line in second. Minutes in, 4 minutes to go. Murray, back start finish line into the double. Round, in the first floor jumping, he's back round on the back straightaway. He's up 11 seconds on Dan. Dan just coming to the start finish line now.
Oh, sorry, Jeff.
Really starting to walk away with this one. Really coming back around to the start finish line. He's up 13 on Dan. Dan to Nick, Scott, Jeff, Max, Justin, and George is your current order. Your second place, Dan. Crossing the start finish line now. First, Brady crossing the start finish line. Let's see if he can chase down second, put everybody locked down. We shall see. Dan in second, into the back, into the platform jump on the back straightaway. Brady to good a tumble. Dan crossing the start finish line now. Now a little over 2 minutes to go. 2 minutes left. Friendly to Brady, back on the back straightaway. Here's the 15-second lead on Dan with a big 45 to go. First battle here for second between Dan and Nick. Only 0.8 apart. This one could get interesting. Oh, Dan! He's tumbled down the front straightaway. Got a minute and 15 seconds to go.
Sorry.
Brady on the back straightaway. Currently coming through the chicane.
I got taken out by a marshal and then, yeah.
Past the start finish line. 1 minute left. See you left. Brady is a lap up on everybody. On the field. He has lapped the field. More seconds to go. All right, we got 13 seconds to go. All Brady has to do is keep it together back to the start finish line, and he'll walk away with this one like over a lap. Impressive. That's good on the clock. Scott, next time by you're done. Scott, you're done. Jeff, you're done. That's your winner, Brady. He's done. Justin's done. Nick's done.
All right, that's about it for this week's update. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the video of this car driving around the track. I hope you guys are as excited as I am with how well this car is doing and how competitive I'm managing to be with it. And I will keep you guys updated moving forward with any changes that I make to any of the parts or any changes I make to the setup that really make a significant impact, or just any other reasons that I might want to make a video about the car. I'll keep you guys updated with it. So thanks for following along so far and making it to the end of this video. I hope you guys have a good day, and thanks for watching. Do all the usual YouTube things like comment, share, subscribe, all that stuff, and have a good one.